That's Sarah Mary Chadwick, Drinking on a Tuesday. Sarah's new album, Messages to God, has just been released, and we found the New Zealand-born artist at home in Melbourne. We last spoke to Sarah back in 2021, so what's she been up to since then?
I didn't really have any ideas of the type of record I would like to make outside of the songs that I had.
Okay.
Because obviously the one that we spoke about last time was just piano and singing.
Yep.
And then the one before that was like a kind of, more trad band kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the one before that was the pipe organ one. And so I kind of didn't really have a strong kind of idea about like arrangements or anything.
Right.
And so when I did stop me if this is boring, by the way, I'll just keep talking until you say stop. For the pipe organ one, I met Tony Espy, who's from New Zealand, but he did all the Avalanche stuff and a lot of kind of more, I guess, popular stuff in his career.
Yep.
But and so I kind of we got along from that record and had kind of spoken about doing something together, and so just hit Tony up and said, I've got these songs, would you like to like produce it? Because also I think because I'd done so many, I'm usually quite precious, but I kind of have thought, well, it's my 8th record.
Right.
If there was going to be one that I was going to put in someone else's hands a bit more,
Yep.
This is probably it.
Yep.
And also, at best it's amazing, and at worst, it doesn't really matter at this point. I'll just have a shit one.
No. Again,
but
so what kind of discussions did you have with Tony about what you wanted him, what you expected from him?
Well, Tony's kind of always been very interested and kind of focused on my songwriting. So he spoke about, well, I guess one thing that made me feel confident was that he obviously has respect for my songwriting and for the songs themselves.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of knew that he would kind of place them and my singing pretty front and center.
Right.
And he said as much. And then I think that he kind of talked about, because obviously usually I work with quite few elements, and he talked about kind of accentuating parts of the songs and emotions in the songs, like drawing them out with extra kind of textural stuff. And I guess he spoke mostly about like building on what's there, and I guess, to paraphrase, kind of, I guess, make the canvas a bit broader.
Gotcha.
Whilst keeping,
Yep.
yeah.
So
I think
like
that's
broadening that canvas. One of the things that we hear quite a bit of is a flute. In several
Yes.
songs, it's played by a guy named Hank Clifton Williamson. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so talk to me about the flute playing and how that entered into the oral spectrum of things.
So Hank is a very close friend of mine.
Right.
He's almost exactly 10 years younger than me.
Okay.
He's a little bit my friend son, a little bit. But Hank's is an ex kind of conservatory kid. Like, he's kind of toured the world doing all kinds of orchestral stuff.
Cool.
And then I think while his friends kind of went towards doing like playing in the MSO and things like that, he didn't really have that same kind of ambition. So I encountered him maybe 6 or 7 years ago now, and he just came to a show, and I think his first question for me was, do you have anxiety? When he was sitting at the bar. But then, we just got friends since then, and we've worked together at bars and stuff on and off over the years. And so we kind of just almost immediately started doing music together. Like, I think my secret power is knowing if someone's good at their instruments without actually hearing them first. So, and then, so then we just, and so we always did stuff together. He played on Please Daddy, but not to a lesser extent.
Right.
And then with this record in, it must have been in 2021 actually. We did like a year-long weekly residency at a bar in Melbourne. And Hank and I, so we played every Wednesday night, and kind of around that period just got very kind of fluent playing
Cool.
together. Like, and also he's just a bit of a gun. Do you know what I mean? Like he can kind of play anything.
Oh, that's always handy to have around. Yeah. So
Definitely.
we can hear him on the opening track. Is called "Don't Tell Me I'm a Good Friend." So why is that the opening track? Tell me how as much of it as you want to.
And grinding your fingers on fierce sharp blades, and blinding your eyes with the dawn, and shaving your pubic hair, walking on grace, and masking your fear with a yawn.
That's probably that's the oldest song of them.
Yep.
That's one that Hank and I would play live together quite a bit. Sometimes with a drum machine. Yeah, I think for me it's a little bit of a middle ground between kind of previous work and the newer songs, and that like I kind of use that 6/8 kind of arpeggiated rhythm like quite a bit. Right. Yeah, it's about someone I'm not friends with anymore. Yeah.
All right, and it's followed by something that we should talk about. I felt things in New Zealand. So here in New Zealand, we love it when people talk about New Zealand. You know how it is. You're doing it yourself. So, so tell me what you want to about that one.
I like that song a lot. I like playing it live because you can always do a shout out to, is there anyone from New Zealand in the crowd? Which always goes well. Yeah, it's kind of a sad song for me. It's about the last time I saw my dad before he died.
Oh, boy.
And yeah, that was kind of the one that I did all the kind of drum pads and stuff, whereas I had other guys doing a bit of the other production things, but that was me doing that in the studio.
Oh, okay. So, and you've done a couple of videos. How involved are you in the video process?
And dollars endless thunder, I'm still stuck living here. I run around awake, keyed up, real drunk, too scared to fear. I hated days, but nights hate me. They won't ever let me sleep. My body expands, my soul contracts, forget how to speak.
I'm very involved because we have no money.
There you go.
Yeah, so Jeff made my friend Jeff O'Connor made the Shitty Town video.
Right.
And so Jeff has recorded, apart from Messages to God and the pipe organ record, he's recorded almost all of my solo records. Right. And I think having him direct a video was like a nice way of having him still involved in kind of a project, because I always love working on stuff with him.
Yep.
And it was, Jeff's concept, I think, like kind of more and more leaning into kind of, at least for myself, like leaning into a bit more of the kind of camp, kind of a bit kitschy kind of aesthetic. And I think it suits the song because I guess it's a bit of a kind of more of a storytelling-y song maybe than potentially I would normally do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other video, Just Like Jesus?
Well, if you're trying to ride to God, well, it pays to see your face. My mum thought my first boyfriend looked just like Jesus. Well, I'd never met him, but apparently she had.
Yes, that's a person that I know from Melbourne called Shaun Stacey, and she's a bit younger, so she's has worked on a lot less stuff, but I think is, doing, trying to get a little bit more work under her belt. But I think that she's got a really great eye, and it's really easy to kind of work with. She kind of just planned it out and followed me around with a camera.
Uh-huh.
And she's actually done another video for Drinking on a Tuesday, which
cool.
will be coming out in a couple of weeks.
I was just doing that yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Doing what?
Drinking on a
Good
Tuesday.
Well, there'll be a song to celebrate for you in a couple of weeks.
Excellent. we celebrated anyway, but it was good. So, do you do much drinking on a Tuesday? What inspired that little rascal?
And you gotta have a joke prepared that'll help you make friends. Drinking on a Tuesday.
It's always like a bit of a bittersweet thing, isn't it? Drinking on a Tuesday, because you you really want to, and it's very fun. But
then Wednesday morning,
there's always something a little bit sad about it,
You're right.
But also,
you hit the nail.
But also, you do it to get through sometimes, and that's fine.
Yep. Oh, I wanted to ask you about the cover art. That's your artwork. That's adorning.
Yes, yeah.
What can you tell me about that?
I kind of, apart from that one, actually, my friend did that one, but but I always do my own cover art, usually 90% of the time, and I kind of always end up doing some kind of self-portrait,
right.
And I think this album to me is a little bit, obviously even in a practical sense, there's kind of been more hands on it than I would normally have, but then I think also it's a bit less maybe self-involved, and maybe a little, I'm always self-involved, but maybe a little bit less so, and a little bit less kind of claustrophobic than the ones before, so I kind of wanted to include that kind of sense. And also more and more I like the idea of like I was saying, being an entertainer, so having people around and kind of working and performing. And
gotcha.
Yeah,
cool. All righty. So are you coming back to New Zealand anytime soon to perform?
Hopefully. I haven't got anything planned, but I'll definitely try and make something happen maybe early next year.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I always want to, so if anyone wants to get in touch and organise something.
I hear you.
Thank you so much, buddy. Lovely to chat. And I'll talk to you about a show sometime.
Yes, indeed. Okay, that sounds like fun. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.